I'd like to welcome everyone to the September 26, 2019 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission. The first item after calling the meeting to order is citizens' time. Is there anyone here for something not on the agenda, or someone who wants to say something about something not on the agenda? Okay. The answer is no. All right. Next, we have the approval of minutes for September 12th. 2019. Are we in a position to approve?
Yes.
Could I have a motion?
So moved to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 600. Okay, now we're on item 4. It's a request for a certificate of compliance. 34 Sunset Drive, Haren Patel, DEP file number 122-620. And see you are here.
Hi.
Okay, so please introduce yourself and the fact that where you live, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Hiren Patel from 34 Sunset Drive, Burlington. Lived there since 1991. We tore the house down and did construction.
Sure.
Filing for the certificate of compliance.
Exactly, okay. The commission did a site walk. I believe you weren't home yesterday.
Yep.
Eileen, any comments?
Just to recap on this, and for those of you who weren't there, this was a tear-down rebuild in the Riverfront. We went out and took a look at it yesterday. Mr. Patel has put up, has planted shrubs in the wetland, or close to the wetland area as requested. He's put down a row of fairly large stones to kind of demark, the 20-foot no disturb. The one thing we did note was that the driveway does seem to be a little bit bigger than it was on the approved plans. However, all of that extra driveway appears to run off to the stone trench that we did see. I don't have any other issues about this
Okay, no issues.
POC. He's been very good about sending inspection reports and lots of pictures all the time.
Okay, are you recommending release of the bond as well?
Well, I would suggest that we hold on to some of the bonds, because just to wait to see whether those plans establish.
All right,
The bond was $2,500.
all right, thank you. All right, comments from the commission. Could I have a motion, therefore, to issue the certificate of compliance for the property at 34 Sunset Drive, DEP file number 122-620?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 600. Also, are you recommending how much to retain of the bond?
How many shrubs were there?
Sorry, what?
How many shrubs?
I think it was 10. 10.
And how much is the bond?
2,500.
2,500.
Does
Perhaps
release
keep
2,000 sound about
1,000?
right?
What?
At least 2,000 sound about right to you folks?
So to release, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, just make a motion. I mean, please.
I move that we retain 1,000 and release 1,500.
All right, any second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion now? Pro or con? All right, could I have a motion to release $1,500 of the bond out of the $2,500 bond for DEP file number 122-620?
Do we need to state how long we're going to hold the remaining for?
What?
Do we need to state, when we are going to certify that they've grown
So the
in?
order of conditions said 2 growing seasons.
2 growing seasons,
So if you want to include this as a growing season, then it would be next fall.
1 more year. Okay, next fall.
All right, so that's taken care of. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 600. We are all set.
All right, thank you.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much. Have a good evening. And the property looks very nice, by the way.
Yes, it does.
All right. Okay, so next we have,
Larry,
yes,
I know they can leave.
what's that? Okay. All right. All right. Mr. Patel, you don't have to stay if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Okay,
all right.
if you want to watch how much fun we have, you're welcome to stay.
Okay,
All right.
got a high bar now, Larry.
Good luck to you on that one. All right, so now we're on item 5. Notice is given, the commission will hold a public meeting, during which time we have a request for determination of applicability filed by Adam Lappin, and will be acted upon by the commission. The commission will take all information related to the proposed construction of an addition and deck within Riverfront area at 82 Wilmington Road in Burlington, and will thereafter issue a determination of applicability. The application is being heard pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, which is the Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. The application materials available in the Conservation Office for public reviews. Someone here for that one? Well, good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so the way this works, are you the homeowner?
Yes.
Okay, so the way this works is you introduce yourself and the fact that where you live, and you're welcome to make a summary of whatever you'd like to say about what you're doing.
Yep, so I'm Adam Lapon, I live at 82 Wilmington Road, and just coming to ask for your permission to build an addition and a deck.
Okay? That was brief.
We
Okay.
like brief.
What?
We like brief.
Yes, we like brief. Okay. John, do you have comments on this one?
Okay. I probably won't be that brief, unfortunately. So the proposed addition is within the riverfront area of the Ipswich River, which is shown as the intermittent brook in the back. The commission on previous filings upstream from this has determined this to be the headwaters actually named Ipswich River. So it's a river under both the Wetlands Protection Act and obviously under your bylaw. It's shown as a regulatory stream on the streams map. So the work the addition would be within the riverfront area, just outside the inner riparian, so it would be in the outer 100 feet of the riverfront area. So the commission did a site walk yesterday, which unfortunately I missed, but I did drive by today. Unfortunately, the inner riparian area, the area between the proposed work and the bank of the brook, has been clear cut. So I think there were 22
I thought there was about 22 trees.
trees, some of them
Mature.
really large trees. The cutting was right back to a chain link fence, which is roughly 5 feet from the bank of the brook, which sort of changes the complexion of this filing. So the filing for an addition in the outer riparian, if it's within an existing lawn area, the commission generally allows a project like that to go under a negative determination. Although some commissions would require a notice of intent for a construction of an addition in the riverfront. In the outer riparian, you generally allow a negative determination of applicability. That's presuming the work is within a lawn area and no vegetation in the riverfront area is being disturbed. In this case, the disturbance is severe in the riverfront area, with massive tree cutting along the bank, all the way basically to the bank of the brook.
And this is on our stream map?
Right. And it's the Ipswich River.
Okay. And what?
It's the Ipswich River.
All right. And
Which has
so,
extra protections under the law.
so the riverfront has jurisdiction under the State Wetlands Protection Act and our bylaw?
Both, correct.
Both, okay. All right. Before we go and see if the commissioners have questions, when was all this cutting done?
June, about a month ago.
About a month ago. Too bad you didn't,
So I'm not making any excuses, we were told by the surveyor that it was an intermittent brook, and then the person who cut down the trees said as long as we're 20 feet from that area, we should be fine. So we took all the trees in the perimeter of the house, and then there was a couple huge pines that were leaning towards the house. He recommended removing those in case anything happened to storm. We tried to leave a buffer area on the perimeter of the fence, which, would you guys not qualify that as a buffer area for the trees that we left?
Outside the
Not for,
fence?
not for
the
a
buffer,
river.
but we try to leave a little bit of trees on the perimeter.
So, yeah, so there's probably still 5 or 6 trees left, but there's over 20 that were removed.
You got bad advice. That's not the law.
okay. John, would you just indulge my question and take a moment to explain to this individual why the trees are important in the inner riparian zone of a riverfront area?
Okay, so under the Wetlands Protection Act and our local bylaw, the inner riparian, the riverfront area serves to protect water quality, wildlife habitat, flood damage, water recharge, a number of functions that this resource area provides. So under the regulations, basically, the first inner 100 feet is supposed to be left undisturbed. And then within the outer between 100 and 200, the commission has some leeway to allow some alteration. But basically, the closer you get to the brook, the more sensitive the area is, so.
Right. Yeah. And the trees provide a valuable function because of the shade that promotes the habitat. Without the trees, then the habitat is suffering in the high summer heat and so forth. Okay, and it keeps the stream cool for anything that uses it as a habitat.
It reduces bacterial content and, things that grow in the water.
Right, it reduces bacterial content by keeping it cool, is that what your point is?
Well, that would, but also, it's kind of slowing down runoff and
Right,
soils and
cleans the
things.
runoff. There's a lot of functions. So,
It's
that-
also the Ipswich River, which is a pretty important river and is actually a water source for people,
Downstream.
Yes, yeah, it's their drinking water.
yeah. So I wanted to just take those few minutes so you understand why we think it's important. Okay, so it seems that the complexion of this project, because of that, has changed. It would seem to me the commission has two options here. For the current situation, one option is that we may find a positive determination, in which case this would require a notice of intent because it's a lot more involved now. The other situation is that we proceed with, given that this is in the outer riparian zone, I'm not recommending either way, but we do a negative conditional determination and do an enforcement action for the restoration and dealing with the issue. So let me ask, before we comment, could I ask whether, John, you have a preference or you have any comment on that?
I would recommend that you issue a positive determination and require this project to be filed as a notice of intent. I mean, they seem linked. I mean, it's, the cutting of the trees and the addition are obviously related for whatever reason. I don't know if,
So when we were doing the addition, there's only 2 trees that had to be removed. The reason why we cut the rest of the trees is we wanted just to make a backyard, because we have that,
Right, okay.
you look in the behind the stream we own that property that's behind the stream, that's all the trees that we didn't touch.
Yeah. So basically, their house is going back, and they want correspondingly their lawn to go further back because their addition is using up part of their existing lawn. So it's, the 2 actions are linked.
All right. So you'd have it as one proposed project under a notice of intent as your recommendation.
Correct.
Okay, so, Ed, any comments on this?
I think, what I'm hearing is that you basically want to make that more of a play yard area
Yep.
all the way back to that fence.
Yeah, 'cause, we live on Wilmington Road, so we live on a main road, so we just wanted to make sure the kids had a area to play in the backyard.
Is the intention to take out all of those stumps that are there?
Yeah, depending on what you guys recommend, we were gonna remove them, or grind them, and then put grass and hydro seed. And we were gonna leave about a 5 to 10-foot section around with but wood chips or mulch, and just leave that area undisturbed.
The other concern I would have is basically if all that work is going to be done to pick out the pretty large tree stumps that are there, you got to put some support, keep all of that dirt from going towards the river. There's going to be a lot of tear up back there. I'm sure a lot of rip up, for what's going to happen. And replanting, definitely highly recommend something that's replanted all along there.
Okay. I'd like to point out to the commission that the details of what needs to be done as remediation for what was done, and any further protections relative to the project towards the outer riparian zone would be covered under a notice of intent. So we don't have to debate that now, I'm thinking.
Okay.
So you can say whatever you'd like, but I just thought I'd point that out. It's all going to be redone anyway. John, do you have an opinion? Bill, do you have an opinion?
I do. As John stated, this is a cutting of 20 large mature trees with total disregard for the fact that they are in a resource area under the regulations and under the state regulations and local regulations. You're saying, I mean, I understand you say you weren't aware of the regulations, and that's understandable, but your tree company, the Greater Boston Tree Service, did know it was a river. I mean, even if he said it's an intermittent stream, within 100 feet of an intermittent stream, you must file. Now, he understood correctly there's a 20-foot no disturb, but there still means a requirement to file. And he even worked within the 20-foot no disturb, cutting down trees. So the tree company is severely at fault here. And can we issue an enforcement order against the tree company?
You can.
That's what I would like to see happen here. They obviously knew there was a resource area there. I'd like to call
Well,
them
he
in here.
also got bad advice from a surveyor. I mean, it's,
Yeah, the surveyor,
Right.
he said, because we were talking about, it's a big lot, so
Yeah.
we basically talking about how far we could go back, and if on the plot plan, said it was intermittent brook. Because he thought it was, so, in his words, he told me the fact that it wasn't, he didn't think it ran.
did he do research on it as a surveyor? He
Yeah, I
should
paid him.
actually do.
I paid him, so I
But I
paid
mean,
him.
did he do research into actually the stream maps and things like that? That,
I don't know how to answer
you
for
know,
that question. but-
Even as an intermittent stream, which it is not under the law, even if it were under the law, it has to file any action within 100 feet of that, because that is the buffer zone for that. It would be an isolated wetland in that case, as an intermittent stream, or something of that nature. Is that correct term for that, or? just-
Intermittent stream.
Intermittent stream. So, you know, the surveyor should have known that as well. The surveyor is at fault here then for giving you that kind of advice. And he needs to be educated. The surveyor needs to be educated in some fashion or the other. So, you know, to me, I'd like to see something sent to the surveyor and the Greater Boston Tree Service. Have you paid these people already? Too bad.
do a Cooper review.
Too bad, because if this is gonna cost you money in the next hearing of planting trees and stuff, I would go after them for it. I sincerely would. That's all I have.
Gail?
So yes, this is a problem, but I would agree with John, because obviously you're clearing the trees, you have intent to do something with the rest of the property, which should have been undisturbed, and so because you're planning to work in that area that we protect, we need them to file an OI.
Yes.
Yes, I have the same concern with other commissioners. Big trees, they just cut, and should not have been this way.
All right, and given the nature of the project, unfortunately, it is a much larger project than you anticipated because of the work that was done, so unfortunately, I come down on the side of a positive determination. If that is voted on, we'll vote on it now, see if we have a motion. What that means is, it's a more formal process. It's a hearing, and the details of what needs to be done will be discussed. The neighbors will be notified of the hearing, and then they'll, if they have any concerns, they'll, you know, be allowed to voice comments, is what happens. I mean, you'll get to the end, it's just gonna take a little bit longer, unfortunately, which is too bad. Okay, can I have a motion to, is there anyone in the audience for this that wants to, that would like to say anything? This is for 82 Wilmington Road. All right, so I would entertain a motion for a positive determination requiring the filing of a notice of intent for the project at 82, proposed project at 82 Wilmington Road in Burlington.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor? Okay, I assume you have, did you do a piece of paper that says that?
You're right, you have it. I'm going to go through the findings.
In your
All right.
packet, Larry.
What's that? Yep, it's in the packet, okay.
We've basically discussed all these filings, but on the project description, we've discussed the filing history. Jurisdictional areas, the work would be the proposed work was in the outer riparian zone of the riverfront area of the Ipswich River. The Ipswich River has riverfront area under the Burlington bylaw because it's shown on the regulatory stream map in the regulations, and under the Mass Wetlands Protection Act because the Ipswich River is statutorily protected for its entire length. The tree removals were within the inner riparian of the Ipswich River, with some trees removed that were within 10 feet of the river. Then the findings regarding the impacts, all of the trees were within the 100-foot inner riparian of the Ipswich, some were approximately 10 feet away. 2, trees and other vegetation, then there's a discussion of the functions and values of those trees. 3 is a discussion of the fact that the trees were cut without prior approval, and it coincided with the proposed construction, so it obviously appears to be linked to the construction project. 4, while the construction project alone, a residential addition within lawn area in the outer riparian area may have been possible to adequately condition under a negative determination of applicability, the clear cutting of the inner riparian area well beyond the proposed construction elevates this project to one that can only adequately be conditioned through an order of conditions that includes a rigorous riverfront area restoration plan.
Okay. All right, so, nothing, since we already voted on it, there's nothing further. Is there any other changes to the findings? Now, as part of the submittal, will a wetlands person be required to substantiate any aspect of what's there?
Somebody qualified will have to propose a restoration plan. Doesn't have to be a wetland scientist, maybe a landscape architect, somebody who's a botanist or somebody like that, because it's, trees are going to need to be planted.
All right.
The delineation probably isn't critical, it's the bank of the stream, it's fairly clear cut.
All right, sir, so in order to expedite the process for you, I would suggest that your filing, when you file for this notice of intent, it would expedite it if you filed it with a proposed restoration plan. If you need some help identifying an appropriate person, you can contact the office. They can give you perhaps a list of names that you could choose from, something of that nature. Okay, rather than have you come with the filing and not have that person already filing the plan. Okay? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, have a good evening. All right, so next on the agenda, we're at item 6. It's a continued public hearing. This one was a notice of intent for 175 Bedford Street. It is site improvements, including installing stormwater best management practices for DEP file number 122-632. All right, good evening.
Evening.
Okay, why don't you go through the introductions again, even though you were here last time?
Yeah, Kenneth Strong, 175 Bedford Street, LLC.
Yep.
Chris Jung, I'm co-owner with Mac Designer Hardware, that's going to be the tenant of 175 Bedford Street.
Great, okay.
And I am Bree Sullivan, Bayside Engineering.
Okay, nice to see all three of you again. All right, so we had a few items that were on the list for you to take care of. Would you like to offer a summary of what those, so you could summarize what's been done since the last time?
Sure. So I did submit a revised plan, a copy of which is here on the easel. I also submitted a summary letter of, excuse me, items that have been changed on the plan, some minor changes, some not so minor. Basically what we did is we regraded the paving in the vicinity of the loading dock. In this area here, so what we have now is we actually have, in addition to the rooftop runoff being routed through the treatment VMP, which is here, we now have all of the pavement around the building. This pavement here had already been routed through this BMP because it naturally flows that way. We now have all of this pavement. There's a high point here, so everything on this side of the line will flow towards the treatment BMP in the back here. To do that, what we've done is we've actually provided some granite curb along the back edge. There was no curb here before. We actually had the pea-stone trench that's now been removed. So basically, from that high point this way, we have a curb that sort of channelizes that flow to behind this loading dock and into a sediment forebay here with the check dam, and then finally into this infiltration BMP behind the building. To the east of where that high point in the pavement is, we now have eliminated the pea-stone trench at the suggestion of the commission and created sort of a mini rain garden, but it's not really a rain garden. That includes some plantings here. We have 3 here and 5 here, or however many will fit. That particular planting is shown on the detail sheets. It's a New Jersey tea shrub, pretty compact shrub. It's hardy. It's also native to Massachusetts and the United States. So basically, we have like it's sort of a depressed area, so the pavement is even with the planting area, so the runoff will run into that area, and it'll be absorbed into the ground, and any excess will overflow and go into the river very much the way it does today, only we'll get a little bit of treatment there. Because of this, we have to update the stormwater calculations, and I provided the updated storm frequency and runoff, and we've actually improved the runoff. So we're retaining more water on the site, we're infiltrating more water in the basin, we're getting more treatment. It basically amounts to about a third of the site is now going to be treated, where today, currently, none is treated. I think that's a pretty good improvement.
Okay, thank you for that summary. Yes, please.
A few other things. I know there was a request to move the dumpster that was behind the building. So the very next day, we requested for our contractor to do so. He contacted the dumpster company. They actually removed the full dumpster, but did not have a new empty dumpster available to tell them where to put it on the side of the building. They came and actually delivered it in the middle of the night when we weren't around and put it in the same place. So since then, we have not used that dumpster, and we have made a request back to move it to the side of the building. So
Thank you.
I did want to address that concern, and we did try, but some circumstances kind of happened, so.
Understood, thank you. All right, John or Eileen, any further comments on this one?
So I think these changes pretty much address to the best of their ability to address the runoff from the site. It's obviously a really challenging site. So they have not yet opened with the planning board, and I understand from planning staff that the planners will be concerned about the amount of parking here. So obviously, we would like to see more treatment and less pavement. That's just not going to be possible. The planners are going to be telling them you need parking. So one of the things I'm going to suggest is that you not close the hearing. The planning board opens a week from October 3rd, and your next meeting would be October 10th. I think they'd be extremely lucky to finish in one night with the planning board, just like with us. But if at least the planning board issues can be flushed out at one meeting, and we could then close an issue unless the planning board wants to actually make site changes, which hopefully they won't. There's not too much you could do here. So the only other issue I have is I was just looking to file, and I didn't see an O&M plan. So if we could get an O&M plan on the revised BMPs for the owners to take care of the basin, something for them to have.
All right, let's see if there's any further questions. Indra, anything further on this one? Gail?
So I think the other thing we were looking for that I don't see on the plan, that could be in the OM plan, is how you're going to handle snow removal here. You know, where the snow is going to be.
So since that, we've been investigating several different options. So the very worst that I think would happen is we've been getting quotes for snow removal. It's not just plowing, but
Right.
plowing and removal
Yeah.
from the site. So that, we're working through that, and that would be the fallback of if we can't find any other
Where it would be
location to do
stored.
that. One of the other things we were working with Bree here is potentially moving those dumpsters just sideways, rather than blocking the basin there, just turn them sideways and use that piece of pavement as that storage for the snow. If that would be acceptable to the commission, that could be something we could do.
So it sounds
Yeah,
like,
if you have enough room there, yeah.
yeah, if you got enough room to do it, it sounds like a good plan.
And I guess the other thing in the O&M plan should be kind of a, you know, a sweeping schedule in terms of how you're going to maintain the lot. You know, sand and debris and stuff like that.
So to back up to the snow portion, I mean, that is the ideal place to put the
Right.
snow because you
Yeah.
get the maximum amount of treatment through the entire treatment train here on this site. So, I mean, this is an ideal place to do that. And it'll be interesting to see, I mean, a conversation will have to be had with the refuse removal company because they have their own requirements.
Right.
So, there might yet be something to do there.
Now, I know with Bree, we were discussing potentially moving the dumpsters to near the loading dock. There's a little section there that wouldn't lose parking spaces, but I realize that's next to the water, which we kind of would have liked an opinion. If you like the other side better, we can,
The other side's better, it's back where it is right now.
Yeah.
Dumpsters don't do well next to streets.
yeah, so maybe the dumpster's sideways, but again, back to the refuse removal company, we may have to finagle something in that area.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky because a dumpster that is at 90-degree angle is hard for them to lift up and how big are those dumpsters?
We haven't actually contracted yet with the waste removal, so.
I think the best, if you can get it to work, is to get the snow removed from the site.
Some of the smaller dumpsters are on wheels, so they could be rotated at the time of pickup.
Well, depending on how big of a, do you know how big of a dumpster you need?
No, we have not actually contracted on waste removal yet.
All right, the reason I say that is because some of them offer, I know, at least 2 cubic yard plastic dumpsters, which is much lighter. So you could manually spin it by hand for snow removal, that then just, you know, write it for the, you know, the other 10 months a year or whatever. That's just a thought, but I don't know how big you can get them. I know you can get them in very small sizes, like 2 cubic yards, but they go usually 2, 4, 6, 8, and so forth, and you'll have to decide how much you think you need. Okay,
Okay, we will definitely consider that with the waste management.
right. And also, I also happen to know that there's a wide range of pricing for dumpsters. I suggest you look around for various contractors. You'll find a range of like up to 2.5 times one price versus another. So,
Good advice, we will definitely take that.
not related to conservation, but it'll save you some money.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Bill?
Given the confines of this particular site, I think you've done a very good job of maximizing what can be done in a reasonable effort. And, you know, I commend you for being responsive to everything that we've asked and doing things immediately, which is great. I also really appreciate the fact that you're putting a bunch of solar panels on the roof of that structure, so I'm pleased.
Okay. John, anything?
I'm pleased too.
Okay. And Ed, anything further?
I concur. For the limited space you had to work with, you did a great job.
All right. Now, I just had one comment on the plantings that you're doing on the right-hand side of the parking lot where the pea drains were. Are you doing anything to prepare the soil so it infiltrates? Like, is there any specification, or are you looking at any specifications so that the water runoff is going to at least infiltrate some of it before it overflows?
So we are calling for a 6-inch basin planting mix, which is a very high compost containing mix. It's, I use it a lot in detention basins and places where we're really trying to get the water to go below the planting area. So it's hard to tell. Most of this site is eudorthents, which is fill, essentially. Most of it's fill on the riverbank.
Sure.
So, aside from, and fill generally tends to be pretty porous, depending on what it's made out of. So, just short of excavating out, I haven't specified to excavate out any of that subsoil.
You may, are you going to the Board of Health for this at all? You don't have to go to,
So through the planning board, the Board of Health does review that.
okay.
And part of the issue here, of course, is the down gradient property status from the mobile station here. And the aquifer flows this way, the groundwater flows this way. So our concern would be, even over here, we might be getting into some contamination, but you'd have to go a couple of feet in anyway to get to that, so.
All right, so
So it's a balancing act.
So it sounds like you're just going to call it that potting mix or whatever it is you use, and it does promote natural infiltration, but it's not specifically designed for maximum infiltration.
Well, it is. I mean, it's a sandy mixture. The problem would be the porosity of the subsoil below it. However, if we got a situation where the stormwater would go into the soil profile and then drain towards the Vine Brook laterally, we'd still get a filtration from it. We'd still get uptake from the roots. So there is definitely a benefit, even if it doesn't readily infiltrate below. But I do expect that there'll be some infiltration.
Okay. That was the only question I had. Is there anyone in the audience for this at 175 Bedford Street? Any comments at all? Okay, so I guess we're not going to close the hearing in case there is a change or something requiring something. Otherwise, you'd have to refile, I guess. You don't want to do that, so. I haven't, John or Eileen or the commissioners, is there anything further these folks need to provide? Because they're going to be coming back for issuing the permit.
Not that I can see.
All right, so I think
Just
the
the
issues
plan.
are resolved here, is that correct?
I believe so. So Eileen just reminded me, so just on the granite curb, just try to limit the reveal. It's technically in the floodplain, so we don't want like a six-inch high curb, just, if you could show a detail maybe on that, just
Okay.
like a 3 or 4 inch reveal.
All right, so no further action from us at this time is
Correct.
required. Could we send a note to the planning board?
Yep.
Okay. All right,
Very much.
Thank you.
thank you, have a good evening.
So this is continued to the October 10 meeting.
Right, okay. All right, so we are now at item 7. All right, notice is given, the commission will hold a public hearing during which time we're going to take information related to a notice of intent. Okay, it was filed by Lexington Trust, Robert W. Murray, for the construction of a single-family dwelling at 3 Murphy Court, formerly Murphy Lane. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands pursuant to the Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. The commission will review the information, thereafter may issue an order of conditions. The application's available in the Conservation Office for public review. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We didn't make you wait too long this time.
Yeah, thank you. David Romero, Commonwealth Engineering, here with Phyllis Etzel of Murray Hills.
All right, nice to see you.
Robert Murray, Lexington Trust. Proposal in front of you is for an application for a notice of intent for what we refer to as Lot 2 of the subdivision, is now 3 Murphy Court. We have currently 2 order conditions on this site right now, one for Lot 3 and one for the roadway itself, which are still under construction. Tonight, we're proposing a single-family home, about 2,300 square foot roof area, most of which is in the buffer, and we're going to be doing some grading on site and also some landscaping, some lawn and landscaping. Pre-development, the conditions were there was a swimming pool on in this area with a big patio and a driveway and part of a garage. So actually, the pre-development impervious area was actually more than what we're proposing now. Nevertheless, we are going to infiltrate the roof. We have on-site dry wells that we have designed using on-site test pits that we also did, so we have nice soils, we have sandy soils. We actually have groundwater, it's kind of deep, so we do have room to put some dry wells, as we show it on the plan. We're not doing any work within the 25-foot or the 40-foot buffer. I do want to point out there's one little area in the no disturb, 25-foot no disturb. Right here, there's actually an existing fence within that, so we are going to be in that no disturb area just to remove that fence. Other than that, we don't really work beyond that limit. And I think that's really about it. Straightforward, I think.
Yes. Eileen, do you have
Well, I think
comments?
David gave you a pretty good summary of what they're proposing. In 2017, you permitted the subdivision, the roadway. Then last September, you permitted the construction of the first house, which is, I think, down this way off this plan here. There's about less than 3,000 square feet of wetland on this lot, of the 24,000 square foot lot, I believe. So the proposed house will mostly be within the 100-foot buffer, but outside the 40-foot no disturb. If it's okay, I do have two questions to just ask for clarification. The line of erosion controls makes this funny jig over here, and I was just wondering why. Is it because of the chain link fence?
Yeah, it's because of the fence.
You're following the fence with the erosion controls?
Yes, we are, exactly.
After you,
Well, that's where it is now. I suppose after we get the fence down, we could move it back in if you prefer, the commission prefers. but that's-
I don't really have an issue with it, I just wondered why that strange jig.
Yeah, that's really all, just to be able to get rid of the fence.
Okay. But the second question was, the infiltration system for the roadway is already in place, right?
Right.
So are you planning on driving over it or protecting it? How are you going to protect it during
No,
construction?
we really shouldn't be in that area at all. It's already graded, and nonetheless, it's all concrete structures, and they're 8 to 20 loading, so even if we do drive over them, it really shouldn't be any issue at all.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay, do you have any concerns at all about the protection of resource area?
No, I don't. I like, on the whole, I like where they're putting their no disturb line. I just wanted clarification on that fence issue.
Okay, all right. So let's go around the table and see if there's anything else. Indra?
No, nothing.
Gail, anything? Bill, anything?
The driveway to this new facility, that is pitching, how, is that pitching to the street?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And that area was actually incorporated into the first design for the roadways. So
Okay, that included the driveways.
it did include the driveways.
Okay, that's right, too. Thank you for reminding me of that. The only other question I had is, your current erosion control plan is for filter socks, but in the middle of the property in the back, it's somewhat steep. There's like a 2-foot drop and a 10-foot area. Is that going to be sufficient for that with all the, looks like a lot of grading going on in that area and stuff? And the infiltration system, I'm just thinking maybe hay bales would be better.
We've had success with the wattles, the 12-inch wattles. I mean, if the commission prefers some hay bales in the middle there, I'm sure we could do that.
Okay, thank you.
What you asked?
I will. What do you guys think about that?
Erosion controls aren't currently in place, right?
No. Well, actually, there are some in place, yeah,
From
for the roadway.
the roadway.
The original one, right.
Where are they currently? Can you just give us an idea?
Using
I think it's all the way across to here. I think it maybe ends here, and then we picked it up around down here. But I think these are in place, and it's wattles
They
right
may
now.
already be in place.
But then again, there's no real disturbance right now here other than clearing. So I do see that there's grading's a little steep here in this area, I think you were referring to.
That's where I'm referring
So
to, yes.
if you refer, we could put,
I haven't actually visited the site lately. We can just go and see how the wattles look and
If
make a
they're holding up,
determination
you
from
think they're
that.
sufficient, that's fine with me. But I
I
just
will
like an
say that
assessment.
the erosion control we have on site right now is in excellent condition. It's actually overgrown with vegetation. It's very stable along our whole perimeter.
Okay.
Again, it's up to the commission.
Okay, John, anything else? Ed, anything else?
Other than that,
I just had one question, sir, is, can you construct the foundation without disturbing the grade going downhill at all in the back there? In other words, will any heavy machinery, will you be disturbing 215 and 216 line?
No, we can do that. We've got a lot of experience with that type of thing. No,
All right,
absolutely not.
so you won't make that grade unstable, in other words, because of
No.
construction?
Nope.
All right. Okay. All right. That's all I have. Is there anyone, there's no one, the record should show, I don't have to ask, there's no one in the audience for this. Okay.
And this did receive a DEP file number 122633.
All right, so since this was a first filing and not knowing where it would go, we're not ready to close an issue.
We don't have a draft decision.
All right. But is there anything required, Eileen, for, will they show up at the next meeting when we issue? Are we all set?
There was nothing that I thought of. I will go out on the site and just take a look at the erosion controls and see what we think
Yeah, okay.
will be needed.
Is there anything else, folks? All right, so I don't see anything on our list, so the next meeting will be October 10th. We'll close the hearing and issue at the time. Okay? All right, thanks a lot. Do we need to, are you going to the planning board with this at all?
Nope.
You're all set, okay. All right, very good, folks, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Sure.
It looks big.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a few administrative things. We already talked about the planning board comment for 82 Wilmington, wasn't it?
No, 175.
175. Any staff reports, subcommittees, anything going on?
I don't think so.
Anything happen at town meeting that affects us?
No,
No.
I don't know.
All right.
They approved 300 units more for
I
Third
understand-
Avenue.
I do understand that.
Water band's coming down,
Water ban, we need water
9:30.
ban.
9:30.
All right.
Shh, turn off those sprinklers.
And, could I just ask a question about that, the 300 units?
Yep.
I've always wondered, does the affordable component of that expire after like 10, 20 years, and then it reverts back, or is it for life?
I think they have a term limit that they, on those, at least they used to.
So this is not a 40B type project, and it
Okay, that's
doesn't
different.
meet the state affordable housing guidelines. There's going to be some sort of covenant with the town, and there's going to be units for senior housing for Burlington residents.
different.
So,
Well,
and,
It's more of a discount for seniors.
yeah,
and
so
not
it's
really
not a
40B.
convention, but they won't count towards the town's affordable housing inventory.
It
So
won't.
it's not a typical type of, like a 40B type project.
But those typically have like a term.
They
to them.
used to, but I
Anymore?
think pretty much now that there.
The reason I asked is I was wondering if
99 years,
if a senior, just entering seniorhood, a senior person, goes in at 60, 65, does that mean that if they're there in that apartment and on affordable status, does that mean that if it has a 20-year life at 85, they either pay the full amount that they're charging and lose their affordable status, or they have to get out? Is that what that means?
I don't think there is, there won't be a 20-year limit on it,
There's not.
no.
I don't remember seeing anything about any
No.
limitations on
There's
it at all.
no term limit on
Not
that.
that I saw in the
All right.
literature.
It was just something I was wondering about. I was-
Making plans?
Well, I'm approaching senior status. All right.
From the wrong side.
Okay. All right. The next meeting will be October 10th and then October 24th. Anything, other business?
Can I
Yes.
mention about our Diwali event?
Yes.
Indian Americans for Burlington will be observing our Diwali event this year, this Sunday, which is September 30th, from 1 to 6:30. There will be a lot of variety cultural programs.
1 to 6:30.
1 to 6:30.
Where is it?
In
Common.
common.
On the Commons.
Uncommon.
Okay, could you tell me a little bit about the Diwali holiday?
Diwali holiday is the festival of lights. It's like the win of the good and defeat of the evil.
We need that
That's the
right
main-
now.
Is it one of the biggest holidays? that
Not
you
the
celebrate?
biggest holidays, but it is one of the biggest festival.
It's
Yes,
festival
in
hall
India.
type holidays. Yeah.
But there are, we have the regional, other regional programs also, and it
Okay, so
varies.
this is
This is-
on the Common,
On the common,
1 to 6:30.
1 to 6:30.
This Sunday.
This Sunday. And there will be variety of cultural programs, there will be games for the children, and of course, Indian foods.
Indian foods, all right. Food always brings people out, doesn't it?
Yes. So please come and join us.
All right, sure.
Everybody's invited.
All right, I'm planning to stop by.
Yeah, I am too.
Yep, we'll be there.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
I'm the proud owner of a permit to keep chickens and a dog kennel license now.
So you,
I went to the Board of Health, I had a hearing with the Board of Health this week.
I think we're getting a little personal now. I think we want to
how many
close the
dogs
meeting.
can you have?
But if you have more than 3, you have to have a kennel license.
You got more than 3?
I have 4 now.
Well, what kind of dogs are they?
2 old ones and 2 puppies.
Can we close the meeting, please? And continue
Okay, is
discussion?
there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, that was unanimous. Good evening.
What was your?
Okay.